Coming up next on the Mind, Body, and Laughter podcast, we're going to get into the Shadeur Sanders situation and some of the implications that it may have had. See you in a minute.
This could be us. So back to what I was saying. Could be us.
Okay, we're back. Mind, Body, and Laughter podcast with your host,
Tanya and Herm.
All right. So as I said before the break, we are going to get into this whole Shadeur Sanders situation.
He wanted to say hi.
She has to get the dog.
It's not the dog, it's my child.
Okay. So.
I was pretty aggravated to hear that he wasn't drafted
to the fifth round. Yeah.
to the fifth round. Yeah. And I feel like that's another reason why I can't stand the NFL.
And before we get heavy into it, I'm going to give you a little context. Shadeur Sanders, all season long, he was either the number 1 or the number 2 quarterback throughout college football. And even the guy who went before him, it was always going back and forth. Up until maybe a couple of weeks before the draft, and they start having interviews, and you start hearing all these little things they start trying to say. And to me, it just sounded like a personal thing to kind of lower his stock value. Like as they trying to teach him a lesson or something, him and his father. So
yeah, which I totally do not agree with. There's a history of embedded in trying to humble and trying to break down a black son and his black father, and it did not sit well with me at all.
I have a question as well, not just in general to people who's out here watching. Why? I mean, I get it, try to be nice to people, but what is this thing with trying to humble the player? Because if you're a player that's striving to be great, you're going to have a high sense of confidence if you're a really good player. Especially if you're a great player, you're going to have a high sense of confidence, borderline arrogant, if not all the way arrogant. So
you have to think you're exceptional. You have to think you're good, and you have to believe that, and you have to act like it.
And I don't have a problem with that. And
I don't either.
I wonder why that he has to, or he or she has to be, because you could see the same thing happen with Angel Reese last year with the WNBA.
Yes, I do not agree with that.
And why is it that they have to play this role? Because I didn't see that. I didn't hear those same conversations when Baker Mayfield was doing it, because Baker Mayfield was the same exact way, if not more. When Johnny Manziel came out, he was out of control arrogant, and he ended up not even being that good in the league. So where was all those conversations then? Why didn't his stock drop? Because both of them were number 1 picks.
So was Deion Sanders a good football player?
Oh, Deion Sanders was a great football player. He played too, and he played baseball. He played football and baseball.
And what about his son?
Which Shadeur?
Yeah.
Shadeur was very good, but he's not Deion.
Right. Well, I'm not saying
Hall of Famer.
Right, but Shadeur is still talented.
Shadeur is very talented.
And the quarterbacks that were drafted before him,
not one of them were better than him.
So what was the message?
To me, it was a message of, we're not going to let your father dictate where we're going to go. Because I know a little bit before that, Deion was, because Deion's been in the league. He knows what organizations are run well. He knows which organizations are not. So he was like, certain teams he didn't want his son to go to because he knew it was a bad organization. I guess they didn't take likely to that. And then his whole persona of Coach Prime, not so much as Deion Primetime, the player, they had a problem with Coach Prime, is what I'm assessing from this. He came in and basically, I guess, not a whole lot of experience. He came in and turned Jackson State around. So they said, oh, that's an HBCU school. That ain't that hard to do, blah, blah, blah. He signs on for Colorado. Oh, yeah. Well, he ain't going to do nothing in Colorado. Then the first year, they only won 3 or 4 games. I can't remember. It was 3 or 4. And it wasn't so good. They was like, yeah. Well, then next year, boom, it took off.
Where is he now?
He's still in Colorado. And they re-signed him for
And that's where his son...
he played for Jackson State and he played for Colorado. So he went with him.
So what's wrong?
They just don't like Deion.
And so,
And they don't think,
so I go
he
back
has too
to
much control over
right.
the situation.
But the top athletes, I'm not going to say the Ball brothers, but their father was instrumental in their career. I loved how he managed his son.
Absolutely.
I really did. And the Williams sisters.
Yeah, he broke. To go back to the Ball, he was trying to break them away from the standard NBA stuff where the Nike and all of them got their hands. That's what they tried to come out there on sneaker brand. He really tried to break the cart a bit, and that's why one of the reasons why they didn't like him. Serena and Venus's father the same. They did to the point where they ended up pushing him out at some point, though.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, but they said, "Well, you ain't gonna make it if because you see how they became. They got all the money, they started getting all these endorsements once they pushed him out.
Yeah.
And which is unfortunate, but
he got them where they needed to be.
He got them where they need to be, and I'm sure
they're
taking care of him. But,
of course. And endorsements is where the money is anyway, right?
Oh, absolutely, especially when you stop playing.
Right. Okay. So, but I just didn't like how that was all handled, and because I look at my own sons and how involved their father is, and they're black athletes. Is there a difference between black athletes and white athletes? There
are, of course, there are, and how they're treated is a lot different.
Right.
Like all you got to do is look at the WNBA, for example. There have been some great WNBA players, but they never got any type of push. Caitlin Clark comes along, and now you actually see women all on all these commercials. It did help some of the black players, so it did help everybody, but it didn't come along till they got that white athlete to be the face. And now you're going to see a lot of the same thing probably with Cooper Flag.
So,
even though they're both very good.
Right. And I didn't want Duke to win because of Cooper Flag. I'm not going to say anything else. This is a family show. But I don't like how that was handled, and it disturbed me. And then I see that the son of the Falcons coach that made that prank call was fined $250,000.
Well, the team was fined $250,000, and the coach was fined $100,000.
So I don't know if fining, because the son did it.
That did it, right?
But I guess he had access to.
From being around the organization.
Okay, so he accessed, and that was right. But so what is his punishment? Is he going to do any kind of customer community service?
I don't know if he's going to actually have anything at this moment. I'm sure maybe his father might have some type of punishment for him.
Gosh, that's like ridiculous.
$100,000 because you being stupid. But and to go back, like to show sometimes having a parent involved does end up working, because if you look at Michael Jordan, you didn't watch that documentary with me, but his mother was the one who broke that whole Nike. I did watch that. Oh, you did watch it? Yeah. His mother was the one that broke that whole Nike deal.
Yes, I watched a movie.
Yeah. What was the movie documentary?
Okay, yes, I did see that. Yeah.
His mother.
They don't talk about that
deal. But here's the thing.
What was it called? The movie? Swish. Oh.
Yeah. And it was crazy because I guess for them, she did it behind closed doors.
Right.
And she was quiet to do it, whereas Deion is out front, all out front. They don't like that out front again.
They want to humble the black man.
It all comes right back down to that again. They want to humble that guy. And, you do it, but you just be quiet about it.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. And she did it because, she just, that was just her personality. She just wasn't out flamboyant like that. She just was quiet, kept, I want to get this, and she broke one of the best deals that ever happened. I mean, they made Nike. If not for that Jordan signing, we might not even had Nike. That blew him up, and he got his own Jordan brand, which is still part of them, but it blew them up.
You just see, my sons are athletes, you're an athlete, and I just witness everything in this journey and how people are treated. I do not like that they charge for all these AAU games.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
The amount of money they charge for a weekend is...
You already pay. And I get it, the arena's trying to make some money, but you should have some type of, at least a parent discount or something.
I mean, the amount of money they pay is ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, $50 for a tournament for the weekend. What happens if you have a family of 5 coming to see? That's $250 a weekend.
And which ends up meaning that the parents can't come.
Right, and you know how many times I've seen that?
Yep.
And so when I'm at every game, and I see, oh, I've never seen that parent, they can't afford it.
Yeah.
They can't afford to come see their kid play.
Yeah, and it's
His AAU fees are a season $2,500 and up.
Yep.
Then the travel, it's just, I don't know, I don't like it.
We live in a capitalist society. They try to capitalize off every little thing. That's why I don't have a problem when I see these players trying to get much money as they can.
Right.
Oh, he's greedy. No, he's not.
Right.
Because if he can ask for it, and eventually they end up paying, if they pay, how much you think they're making? You might see this extraordinary. He's making $50 million a year. What kind of? If you think they can pay, if they're paying $50 million, how much you think they're raking in?
Do you think do you think that the portal and all that is ruining?
It has some benefits and it has some faults to it. Now, because now kids that sometimes don't have to be accountable. Like they may not play. Oh, I'm gonna jump in the portal. They think the coach didn't.
Yeah, but that portal is brutal.
Yeah, maybe, but they don't realize that until they get in it.
People don't tell them that portal is brutal.
People tell them, but they think, oh, I can do it.
Because don't they just have the mediocre kids in the portal?
Sometimes,
the good kids ain't really.
Sometimes, yeah, the good ones are rarely in the portal. But sometimes there are good players that will be in a bad situation, and it is useful for them. They've been in a bad situation, they go to a better one where they can actually show what they are.
What was the purpose of creating the portal?
I guess to keep kids from being locked in, and to actually try. I guess one reason was trying to keep them in college. Mm-hmm. So if they felt that they can transfer to another program, then they'll stay extra year or so. But it's more so. Well, the coaches have used it as well. They benefited the most from it, to be quite honest.
The coaches?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Because now the recruiting process is different now. Okay. Instead of recruiting that freshman that has to jump from high school to college and doesn't have experience, now you got a guy who's been in college for a year or two. You have an experienced guy coming into your team. So they're taking that experience over the inexperience.
Okay.
So now the recruiting process seems to be going more so we're going to go to the portal first. We're going to go to JUCO, then to the high school. Unless you're just a phenomenal All-American athlete out of high school. Okay. The regular high school recruits who normally get stuff quick, they end up on a lot of them on a waiting list now. They're waiting. Even with small D1s. So you got mid-majors and you got small majors, and a lot of them are waiting now. Even with D2, some of them are waiting because they're taking those kids with more experience, and then them changing the whole junior college thing where now you still keep your eligibility even if you go to junior college.
I don't really know what any of this means. You're talking a different language.
Oh, well, normally back...
You don't have to explain it to me.
No, for the people who don't. Back in the day when you go to a junior college, like say you played in junior college 2 years, you only have 2 more years left for eligibility. You don't get 4 years. But now you can go to junior college. You still have your 4 years of college eligibility. So they want to try to get kids to stay more in college instead of with the NIL. Now they can actually get money. That also helps keep in college, and that also having some positive and negative effects. But I like it more positive because now a lot of college players, that's it for them. Most of them won't get to play professional. So they won't, they put all that work in and never make a dime. So now they can make them some money. So I do like it.
Nice.
Yeah. So back to the whole Shadeur thing.
I don't like what they did, but and he's just looks like such a nice kid, because even though he was drafted in the 5th round, he still was so excited. As his mom, I would have been like, no, you don't need to play. You just need to sit down. Who cares? They need you more than you need them. But that's my ego talking.
The ego, and plus also, he's made millions in college, so he's made money already.
Right.
But
love that
it's
for
not
him.
The NFL money, but he has made plenty of money.
Right. And
in college, because he had one of the biggest. That's another thing. He had one of the biggest contracts. How do you get such a big contract?
What was the contract?
I think he was getting like $5 million.
Oh, he probably doesn't need to play and then risk getting hurt.
Yeah, but I'm just saying. But so that's crazy the way he dropped like that to the fifth round. Fifth rounders have to actually, for the most part, you pretty much got to try out. And then they got like 5 quarterbacks.
So none of this made any sense.
No, it doesn't. There's 5 quarterbacks. He got to actually make his way up the ladder.
Wow.
And right now he's behind somebody he's clearly better than. So he'll probably beat the guy out. So I think it was real messed up by the NFL. Then the Cleveland Browns, the only reason they drafted him because they been there moving up. Now they traded to draft him in the 5th round when you could have been gotten him, but the word got out that the Eagles were going to take him.
Oh, okay.
And I guess they didn't want. They already got Jalen Hurts with his team of black women, so they didn't want. Now they got Shadeur Sanders, both on the same team. You got, even though Shadeur will be a backup there, you got him with his father, Jalen with his team. It's like, no, that's too much. We got to snatch him up.
We had a good weekend also. So
Yes.
It was nice to be invited to the Players Ball. Did they call it that?
No, they didn't call it that.
They didn't call it that?
It was
It
was a fundraiser and a basketball reunion, New Jersey basketball players reunion, and the theme was NFL versus NBA, and they had different jerseys and things like that. I didn't really know a lot of the details until I actually got there.
Right, because I didn't have a jersey on.
Yeah. The way it was saying, I thought it was just going to be the players had it on, but no, everybody had jerseys, and it was a nice time.
Yes, it was a nice time, so thank you for the invite.
Oh, you're very welcome.
Yeah, so we had a crazy weekend with basketball, as usual. AAU season, all my AAU mamas.
Let's that was a long day that day, Saturday.
Yes,
but
AAU mamas, have a wonderful season. Stay safe on the road. I'm right there with you.
Yeah, because that Saturday was a day. I will tell you. Because you had
I don't know. It was just a long weekend, but it was a good weekend, and you drove up from
North Carolina.
Yeah, it was a day.
Same day, all the same day.
All in the
from
same
North
day.
Carolina, relaxed for like an hour or so, went to the event, and then we went to New York City, to Willingboro, back to Scotch Plains, all in the same day. We got it about like 2-something one, then got up 7 the next day 6:37 the next day to go to Queens for said basketball tournament.
Yep. We got it done. What's a wellness tip this week?
Well, being that we ran around like crazy, making sure you find a way to get your rest in and relaxation, sleep, reset. It's because sometimes you're going to have weekends like we had, and you're just going to have to keep running. And when you run like that, it will tend to break your body down a bit. So you want to make sure you try to, 1, get rest when you can, but 2, make sure you're getting your vitamins and minerals to kind of keep you going.
That's
when your
it.
body breaking down.
Take your vitamins, get your exercise in, and get your rest.
Yes, absolutely.
That is your wellness reminder, because I think we say that every week.
Yep. And we're going to continue to say certain things all the time to make sure it sticks.
Yep.
So, I'd like to thank you guys for joining in again on another episode of the Mind, Body, and Laughter podcast with your
Tanya
host.
and Herm.
You should say with your host.
With my host?
So with your host.
With your host?
Because we're talking to people.
Oh, with your hostesses.
Hosts. Just
Host.
Hosts. Hosts.
Hosts. That's what I said.
You said hostesses.
With your hosts.
She added that the snake. But thank you guys again. Like, subscribe if you're new. Keep those comments coming. And we'll see you on the next episode.
This could be us. So back to what I was saying. Could be us.